Hey everybody, it's SLPB, Sensible Living Podcast and Blog. I'm your host, Michael McGregor. Today, we're going to attempt episode 17 yet again. This will be the fourth time that I am recording episode 17. We've lost it. We've had interruptions of phone calls while I'm filming, and just anything and everything can go wrong with episode 17. So we are going to try it one more time. Episode 17, the fourth take. And let's start off with a few little announcements. So the mobile studio, YouTube broadcasting the podcast through YouTube, that is coming to an end. We will be no longer broadcasting the podcast through YouTube. The SLPB bunker has been completed, and we will be recording from the SLPB bunker starting episode 20. I've decided to make it episode 20 because honestly, I think that's a monumental achievement. You know, I like the 10s, the 20s. You know, after 20, maybe we'll start focusing on episode 50. Wow, that's a scary thought. Me talking about stuff for 50 episodes. So, you know, and episode 20 is going to be kind of a complete 180. It'll be a whole shift from the shift scenario. We're actually going to be talking about something personal and something important to me, and I'm going to leave it at that because it's a surprise episode. Hopefully everyone will enjoy that, and some other upcoming episodes that I do plan on going over, and especially because I'll be in the SLPB bunker. I'll be able to actually have notes with me and stuff like that instead of driving along and trying to pull everything out of memory. We're going to go over mead making. How to make mead. That's right. How to make Viking wine or honey wine. Some other things we'll be probably talking about. 10 things that every child should know before age 14 or maybe before age 10. Just one of those things. You know, we're going to have some discussions about that. I want to start moving back into health and fitness as a focus of SLPB. Also, one episode that is in the works is going to be normacy bias, understanding how that affects everyone and people in your groups. But episode 17, that's right, episode 17, intelligence gathering, knowing when we should, what we should pay attention, when we should get out of the cities and stuff like that. And we're going to approach this more of from like apartment dwellers in downtown Denver or Portland, Oregon or Florida and stuff like that. And I've heard people, you know, oh, I'm going to bug in. I'm not moving. I'm going to bug in. I'm going to stay here. Well, okay. If you have a forest fire heading towards your home, you might not want to bug in. You might actually want to leave. I'm old enough to remember Mount St. Helens eruption. And there's a gentleman, if I remember correctly, his last name was Truman. Can't remember his first name. And he refused to leave. He wasn't going to leave. He's lived on that mountain. He lived in that home. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us. He actually perished in the eruption from Mount St. Helens. People were told to evacuate. They didn't. So bugging in a situation of like a volcano like that, maybe not a good idea. Forest fire, maybe not a good idea. So, but what about a non-natural disaster? We'll touch upon some more like hurricanes and stuff. What about a non-natural natural disaster? Yes, we're going to fumble our words today. Civil unrest. At what point do we have to worry? At what point do we need to concern ourselves with a breakdown of society? And I know many of you know where my focus is. It's not on that. But, you know, there comes a time the stock markets drop to a certain amount, they shut off all trading. They stop all trading and everything. That happened back, what was it, 2008? there was such a drop in the stock market, they shut everything off. And there's reasons they do that. I mean, that's to prevent complete sell-offs of products or stocks and everything, because we remember the Depression. We learned from that. We have safety measures. However, that caused a bit of a problem, and if also I remember correctly, that was the start of a black swan event. There was also a cyber attack, and also the subprime mortgage bubble popped. And we went into a deep recession. And, wasn't as bad. I mean, it's not like the government turned around and shut banks down and stuff, but what if there is something that eventually the government says, just shut down banks, don't let anybody withdraw any money? Or how about this? Your EBT cards. There's a lot of people on government, we call that welfare, EBT. And what if it's mostly handled by the state, but what if the federal government turns around and says, shut them off? Don't let them be spent, just shut them off. In some of these cities, could you honestly imagine what would go on? I mean, you're going to have a total breakdown. Do you think, was it the pandemic? I'm not talking about a pandemic that's going to wipe out 90% of the population, but if a pandemic hits and you lose say you're at work and 20% of those at work don't show up, what's that going to do? What if 20% of truckers don't show up? Do you think there's going to be a disruption? I think so. I think there may be a run on food. People may charge down. Do you think the government's going to come out and allow the media to sit there and say, hey, everyone, we got a pandemic going on. We got 20%, 30% of the population in cities. No, everything's fine. Look at the cute kittens and look at the puppies. We have hamsters that we're going to talk about today. That one's for my wife. She loves hamsters. Look at the fuzzy little, this is Scooter the hamster. Look at him running his wheel. That's the news media. The news media is not always going to tell you the truth, and I'm not getting into fake news or anything about, Orange Man bad or Orange Man good. I'm not going to get into anything like that. We're going to get into the news media. And we can just look at history. History is a wonderful thing. History often repeats itself because, like some people say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Venezuela, when they had their breakdown, the media wasn't telling everybody this. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect. Everything's rosy. Look at the puppies. It's a distraction. And many of us know that a lot of the media is a distraction. It really is. They don't want you focusing on the bad stuff. Yet again, you get Facebook. We've had that conversation. Facebook wanted you to focus on the bad stuff. They were doing a psychological test on how that's going to work out. So, you got to keep your ear to the ground. You got to listen carefully because you may not see it coming, or you may see it coming, but it may pop up just a little too late. If you start getting those little, those little spidey senses starting to tingle, maybe I should start thinking about bugging out. That's a time where you need to bug out. If you're thinking about it, don't let people think you're paranoid. Don't let people think that you're crazy on doing something like that. Let's get our gear, let's get our stuff, let's kind of get going. Let's be ready. Because many of these cities, you have a city shut down. You have the government come in and they limit access to get out of the cities because of a pandemic. You may only have 2 or 3 roads that get you out of the city. Someone was explaining to me Portland, you only have like 4 roads, maybe 5 roads in and out. They close down 2 of the bridges, you're not going north. Close down another, like 23, you're not going west. I mean, these are things, and I might have the roads wrong. I don't live in Portland. I don't know the area that well. So these are things that, you got to have multiple, what are the tertiary routes to get out of your city? I mean, seriously, do you have a plan? What if the plan that you have set up doesn't work? Do you have a plan B, C, D? This is part of, your bug out plan, your bug out bag, your everyday carry. You should have a map on how to get out if this road is closed, that road is blocked. What if people are rioting? I mean, that happens in Portland all the time. You get Antifa, They sit there, they'll block the roads. You got protesters. What was it, Ferguson? They're blocking the roads. We're not going to get into the whole stupidity of people blocking a highway just to, protest. Plain and simple. That's not a protest. You're obstructing, you're stopping progress. You're stopping from people making a living. That's a disruption. That is a small shift scenario. It is. You might think, zombies, apocalypse. No, we need to start thinking smaller. A lot of you, you're not using your intelligence gathering. You're thinking that, the Antifa happens all the time. There's your normacy bias. It's normal. It's happening all the time. You're getting used to it. You blow it off. You don't think of it as a threat anymore. That's a dangerous scenario. Especially those of you in Portland, you got to pay attention to that. That's part of the intelligence. That's part of paying attention to when and how to know when's the right time to get out. So you have to be aware. And where are you going to get your information? Facebook, the media. You're going to be watching trends and things. I mean, that's important stuff. You listen to, maybe you have friends that kind of give you a heads up. Hey, by the way, our company is going to be shutting down. If we go back to the pandemic. You got the pandemic going on, and all of a sudden it's like, 20% of my workforce isn't showing up to work. That possibly means 20% of a police force isn't working out. And here's something: if you have friends that are that are Leos, law enforcement officer, okay, just for those of you that don't know what it means, we want to be fair because you don't know what you don't know. Those of you that know Leos, I've talked to some. I have friends that are Leos. When do you know it's a bad time? And his response to me was, when I don't have backup. That was an interesting thought. When he doesn't have backup. A lot of people are, in a terrible situation, our police force will be there. Really? They have wives, they have children. During Hurricane Katrina, a lot of them didn't show up. They're busy saving their own family. Don't rely on the police in a shift hits the fan situation. Don't rely on them because they're going to be protecting their own family. They're plain and simple. They're going to protect their own. Do you blame them? People, that goes back to kind of what I said on that was one of the episodes I didn't get. It was, no one's coming to help you. It is up to you to protect your family and have a plan. No one is coming to help. You got to keep that in mind. Fine. Someone keeps up, and the concept of, I'll go to my neighbors. Really? Your neighbor may only have enough food for his family. You're going to come in there and say, hey, I'm a good friend, I'm a good buddy, can you share some food? He may tell you to F off. I'm sorry. Don't mean to be vulgar like that, but he may tell you to go take a flying hike. You force yourself in there, he may shoot you. She may shoot you. That's something to take into consideration. Just because your neighbor is a prepper doesn't mean you have your responsibility to be aware of things falls away. No, it is your responsibility because no one is coming to help. Plain and simple. Watching the trends, seeing what can happen. I mean, we're going to have an election coming up here, 2020 election. And I really don't want to get into the whole, whether orange man bad or orange man good, but if history has told us anything, no sitting president in a strong economy has ever not been reelected. So we're looking at a good, strong chance that Trump's going to get reelected. And we know that on the opposite side, those that oppose him have gotten pretty violent. We've actually had never in the history of the United States have we ever had a sitting senator or representative actually call for violence against the president. Maxine Waters, Pelosi, looking at you. It's the first time. There could be some serious disruption. There was disruption the last time Trump was elected. People are even angrier now. The Orange Man bad group, there may be some serious disruption to the point where National Guard may be called in. Keeping your ears to the ground. Portland, looking at you. You got a big Antifa. That's like a powder keg for Antifa there. I'm sorry, that's ear to the ground. You want to pay attention to what's going on there. In Denver, yeah, we got some disruption here. We got our own problems. I don't really think it's going to be too bad in Denver. New York, LA, we may have some disruption. Chicago, maybe Washington, D.C. There may be some serious disruptions just because someone's not happy that, there's another president. Or that the president is holding the president. Now, 2024, that's a whole different ballpark. You ask me, it's going to take a far left swing. It's going to swing probably socialism. I mean, it's coming. Will it win? Will it beat? If it turns to that, could that be a major disruption with that? Could that cause a major disruption? Are people going to go to arms for that? God, I hope not. Civil war, disruption like that, that's going to be a serious breakdown. What's it going to do for the economy? We all know, plain and simple, that our economy in this country, if it falls, the world falls. The world feels our economy. When we have a hiccup, the world feels it. When the world, like Greece or Russia or them, they have a hiccup, we really don't feel it. We really don't. So what other things out there besides pandemic, financial bubbles, political upheaval? Are we looking at something like that with a political upheaval? I'm kind of watching stuff. I'm listening to people. I actually kind of listen to, some people like, oh, wow, you're on their website, you're reading that. Oh, that's a bunch of liberal hacks. Yep, maybe so. Guess what? They also tell me what they're thinking. I can go to Fox News and, sit in my little echo chamber. Not that I watch Fox News. I don't even watch the news anymore. I stopped watching the news when Obama got elected. I'm done with the news. It's the same old, same old. A friend of mine turned it on recently. I saw it. I'm like, same argument. Hasn't changed. So, but sitting in there in your own little echo chamber, we love our echo chambers. Oh, it makes us feel so good. Look, everyone thinks just like me, and I don't have to I don't have to step out of my comfort zone. That's not paying attention. That's not intelligence gathering. That's being in an echo chamber. Intelligence gathering, reading, listening to what the other side is saying. Plain and simple. And I'm not trying to sit here and start, left side bad, right side good, right side evil, left side good. I'm not going that way. I'm not a liberal. Plain and simple. I believe in the Constitution the way it was originally intended. I don't even really consider myself a Republican anymore. Honestly, if anyone ever asked me, it's like, oh, what are you? It's like, well, I'm a strong libertarian, almost to the point where, honestly, I'm an anarchist. I don't really believe in a state. I really don't. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say, I'm an anarchist. We got to do this, overthrow this. No. I'm also quite pragmatic. I heard it put one time ago, if I could snap my fingers right now and get rid of the state, would I? I'm like, God, no. Good Lord, it'd be Mad Max world. It'd be like, Fury Road. No, I'm pragmatic. I want to start at the local level. Let's start pulling back some of this stuff. We really need to. We really need to pull back some of it. But I digress. That's a little bit too much into the political stuff, and my wife urged me not to go political with the show, and I'm going to try my best not to. But unfortunately, when we're talking about a shift situation, political upheaval is one of them. Rioting. Trials, court cases don't go the way that the population wants. Therefore, the population is going to bust people in and protest. And that's what kind of came out of Ferguson. A lot of the people protesting weren't even from Ferguson. They were bussed in. They came in from out of state. That's mostly to riot. Guess what? A riot's a disruption. LA riots. Boy, was that a disruption. That was out of control. If any of you remember what put an end to it, though, welfare checks came out. That's something interesting. Think about that. The only thing that stopped those riots in LA, welfare checks came out. Okay? Government doesn't like what's going on. They cut off those EBT cards. Wow. What's going to happen? Some rioting? Maybe not right away. May take a day, may take 2 days. That's a split-second decision. Do you get out? I live on roughly the outskirts of Denver. I still live in the city. I'm not even a suburb. I'm on the outskirts of Denver. I got a lot of meth addicts in my area. A lot of them. High level of homeless in my area. Something happens in Denver, I may have to beat feet and get out before, because, you know, those people be looking for the drugs. That's another thing. We got a disruption with trucking. For who knows what reason. Maybe someone decides to blow up a bomb in the middle of I-25 or I-70, some other state, creates a great big crater, and they can't get past. Trucks can't get past on that road. And they can't deliver medicine. So I hate to break it to you, but your grocery store in your little city, in your little outskirts, your little suburban area, has a 3-day supply. That's it. You got 3 days. 3 days. And they're going to be wiped out. New York City, LA, Chicago, Houston, Miami, the really big metropolitan area, the big ones, the actual in the city, you got 1 day. And it's gone. If you realized how fragile your food system is, your delivery, you might make it a little more of a priority to stockpile, to store food. Now, I'm talking about MREs. We've had that. Go back to a previous episode. We talked about copy canning. Store what you eat what you store. Make sure you have some comfort foods. I mean, come on, think about it. But could you handle 3 days without food? Being able to go to a store? Could you handle a week? Could you handle 3 months? Could you handle 3 years? Now, I sit there and I think about the intelligence gathering. I'm watching things. I'm watching the weather. Thursday, and we're going to have some snow. We're predicting 4 inches, possibly. So I've been told. I haven't really seen the weather. My good buddy, he told me that. Ear to the ground. Okay, I don't have to worry about any winter storms. I don't have to worry about anything getting shut down. You have to think about that intelligence gathering, what to listen for, what to be aware of. And, let me tell you something. Bugging in may be part of that intelligence gathering. You may sit there and go, well, there's a big pandemic. A lot of people are sick. A lot of people are, and too late, I can't get out. Maybe you're just going to seal up your windows and your doors so the buggies don't get in. Maybe you're going to seal up your doors, your windows underneath so the buggies don't get in. We got that. So you have to ask yourself once again, when do you bug out? When do you bug in? And a big portion of that is intelligence gathering. And I'm not talking about being a CIA spy. I'm talking about listening, paying attention to trends. Listen to that little voice inside your head that tells you, maybe it's time to get out. It's probably a good idea. If you got a strong feeling that you should skedaddle. What's the worst that could happen? Get out of the city. Get out of the city. Get your stuff. Get in your vehicle. Get out. if there's a political upheaval, you see things going bad in California, well, sorry. Begging in California probably is not the best idea. My suggestion would be get out. It's like, well, I live in New York City. I live in LA. Move. Just don't come to Colorado. We're full. I'll say it. We're full. Colorado's had such a boom of people. Oh, my God. I'm to the point where, little part of intelligence gathering, honestly, know your neighbors. Seriously, know your neighbors. You need to check on them. You need to know what's going on. They may have information that you don't. They may be able to share stuff. Not sitting there saying, share all the information of what you got stored. We want to kind of keep that to ourselves. And I know I'm all over the internet. I'm on podcasting telling you somewhat of my storage, but you don't know it all. I can tell you that. I keep some stuff hidden. I have to. It's only sensible. It's only sensible. You don't want to tell everybody how many guns you got, how much ammo you got. You don't want to do that. That's crazy. So, remember, what we want to focus on is intelligence, knowing when to bug out, what type of situation we have to deal with. There's multiple ideas. But as always, I'll still say, low impact, high probability. That's the one that's going to hit you first and the fastest. The high impact, low probability, you'll probably get a little bit of warning. And that's where the intelligence gathering comes in. I'm not talking about CIA. I'm talking about just paying attention, having some common sense when you look at it. So with that, we're going to bring this show to an end. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm Michael McGregor. I'm out. Watch your six.